Hello, Kalamazoo community. My name is Doug King. I am one of the servant leaders at Grace Covenant Ministries, and I'm also blessed to be able to serve on the executive committee for Isaac. It is countdown time, and I am so excited that November 11th, just a few days away, Isaac will be celebrating with the Kalamazoo community our virtual banquet, again, November 11th, beginning at 5:30 for entertainment, and 6 o'clock, the virtual banquet will officially start. I am so excited and sitting in anticipation that we have the Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson as our keynote speaker. If you have not heard Dr. Dyson, you are in for a treat. It is going to be awesome. I am excited for this event. You know, we as a ministry have chose to sponsor this because this is what we do. The Bible, that in my faith tradition, the Bible is all about justice. It's all about helping those who need our help, who need our assistance. It's about showing the love of God. And so that's why we have chosen to support such an important endeavor. You know, grasping root at the change and building that beloved community is what we're all about. It aligns so much with my faith tradition and the faith tradition that we believe. There's a scripture in my faith tradition that says how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And that's what this event is about. It's about us, if you will, it's about us tearing down the walls that divide us and building bridges that allow us to connect and work together. And so I'm excited about this night because it is a night for all of us to come together, despite our differences, despite all of those things, and build that beloved community that Dr. King spoke so much about. And so I'm excited. It's almost here. And so I am so looking forward to this event. And so I'm grateful to have this opportunity just to say a few words about the event. I'm grateful for the banquet committee that has so diligently worked to provide this for the Kalamazoo community. So I look forward to seeing all of you at this event. And more of that, I'm even looking forward to working together to build a more beloved community together. Take care, be blessed.
As the Rabbi of Temple B'nai Israel, it is a pleasure to share with you that we are a sponsor of the Isaac Virtual Banquet. Temple B'nai Israel believes deeply and is committed to Isaac's covenant, which states, "We are seeking to build a world where hope triumphs over fear, where God's abundance meets the needs of all, where we live in sacred and beloved community." It is because of our deep commitment to the work of building a sacred community that we are invested in Isaac. The theme of this year's banquet, Grasping Change at the Root, Growing the Beloved Community, speaks to our understanding of the role of each individual, made in the divine's image, has in bringing about change. As we learn from Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers 2:21, you are not obligated to complete the work, but neither are you free to desist from it. I am looking forward to celebrating with each one of you and the opportunity to hear our keynote speaker. See you there.
First Congregational Church is a sponsor of the Isaac Virtual Banquet in Isaac because our mission of all people being welcome here is in line with their ideals of social justice, the beloved community, and racial equality.
And we want to thank everybody that comes to our annual meeting virtually this year, and thank Dr. Reverend Michael Dyson for adjusting his schedule to be with us. They'll have words of wisdom, and I'm glad that we could all be together. First Congregational Church is a founding congregation of Isaac just about 20 years ago. we helped start Isaac, and they've been a very potent voice for change, doing it through policy change, which is often harder and longer. But we always select 3 different issues to deal with in the community, and some of those we've been working on for some years. So thank you for everybody being patient and willing and just. Thank you.
And on behalf of First Congregational Church, want to thank all people of faith across Kalamazoo for being committed to the values of justice that, of course, as people of faith, we know that we're called to in this world, to be agents of change and transformation and love and justice. So thank you for being partners in that work together as we serve Kalamazoo. Thanks, Isaac.
Hello, this is Reverend Jocelyn Mason. I am the Senior Minister at Unity of Kalamazoo, and I am happy and excited about the Isaac Virtual Banquet. Happy to know that Dr. Reverend Dyson is going to be speaking and wanting to give you some encouragement about coming and joining us virtually. So our church's mission is to celebrate a world of ever awakening consciousness, then create a world for peace and love for all. We're an all-inclusive community and we want the best for everyone. And so Isaac wants to promote justice and equity for all of Kalamazoo and even the world. So I am so happy that our church is being a sponsor. Dr. Dyson's theme of grasping change at the root, we must go back to the root causes of what we find happening in our world, the systematic injustice, systematic racism, but we can do better than that. And together, as we work together like Isaac does with members of the community and working with interfaith churches, we build community and we work together to bring more equity and inclusion into our world. So we are so happy and excited. Hope to see you there. God bless you.
FC owners and shoppers support the beloved community in so many ways, from our farmer market vendors and farmers to our double up food bucks. We assist a wide access to food that's good for you, providing local, organic, fresh vegetables, fruits, bulk goods, and our Change for Change program and more. I'm glad to be one of the many owners and shoppers that together celebrate and support Isaac's mission.
Hi, I'm Toby Hannah Davies from Isaac, and I do all of my grocery shopping at PFC. For me, Isaac and PFC are both ways we can be the change we want to see in the world. PFC, like Isaac, is about building the beloved community where every single person is valued. PFC is committed to cooperative economics, which means all the profits go back to the community, not to stockholders. It means all PFC food is healthy for the shoppers who eat it, for the farmers who grow it, for the environment, and for the economy. Of course, PFC supports Isaac. We're in the work together to be the change we want to see in the world.
I am the Reverend Rachel Lonberg, the proud minister of People's Church of Kalamazoo, Michigan, coming to you from our worship space, which is currently stuffed with donations for the households of our soon-to-be Afghan neighbors. We are so thrilled to be a sponsor of the Isaac Virtual Banquet this year. We believe in the work of Isaac. We know that we can do more together than we ever could alone. At People's Church, our mission is to be a beloved community, embracing and serving our diverse world. That looks like giving our worship space over to this important effort, and that looks like showing up for Isaac and for our community partners, giving our bodies and our money and our minds to the effort of building a beloved community here in Kalamazoo County. I am so excited. We are so excited for this virtual banquet. We are excited for a chance to celebrate all of the wonderful and capable people who are winning awards this year and reflect on all of the good and important work Isaac and its member congregations and organizations and allies have done. And I am looking forward to having that sense of motivation and the inspiration to keep going in this work, especially in this time when it does feel like we are apart. So a chance to come together, even virtually, to be re-energized and reconnected as we move forward to continue our work will be great. I look forward to seeing you all there virtually.
Hello, my name is Ebony Hemphill. I am the lead for Parents United here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. First, I just want to thank Dr. Charlay and Isaac for the opportunity to serve as a sponsor for the Isaac virtual banquet. It's our absolute pleasure to do so. Parents United is excited to be a sponsor for this event as we understand the importance of grassroots organization and its work, being a grassroots organization itself. The theme of this event is pretty awesome. Grasping change at the root, growing a beloved community. Community is important. Community organizations coming together is something that Isaac is amazing at doing. So I know this is going to be an amazing event. We are looking forward to celebrating the recipients of the awards. We are looking forward to leaving motivated and inspired by the word and knowledge that Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson will bring forth. So we can't wait to be a part of this event, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Hello, everyone. I am Wendy Fields. I am the president of the Kalamazoo branch of the NAACP, and I am here this evening to tell you how excited we are to be a sponsor of Isaac Virtual Banquet. I am excited about being a sponsor, at least we are, our branch, because of all the work that Isaac does. Isaac is true to its mission, to its word, to its practices, and we can't think of no better organization to represent. And when I think about the theme of Isaac, this year's theme, I think about the shepherd tree, which is a tree that has deep roots in the ground, roots that are about 200 feet deep, which implies to me that it's steadfast, steady, unmovable, and planted firmly. And that's the way that I see Isaac. This year's theme, also makes me think of one of my favorite scriptures, which is Psalms 1 and 3. And I want to read that to you because I think it speaks to who Isaac is and what it stands for. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And that's Isaac in a nutshell. And so with that, one of the reasons I'm really excited about this year's virtual banquet is because I don't have to do anything. I just need to sit back, kick back, eat, put my feet up, and be entertained and informed by Dr. Dyson. And I hope that you all will feel the same way after hearing this powerful message from this powerful man. Thank you, enjoy, and congratulations, Isaac.
Hello, I'm Randall Warren, rector of St. Luke's Episcopal Church. We at St. Luke's are happy to be members of Isaac and fully supportive of the theme, Unity in Community. You see, each week we Episcopalians gather around the table for worship. And that gathering around the table is not simply because that's historically what we've always done. It's not a matter of habit, but it's a matter of our belief about what God is up to in the world. We believe that God is all about gathering people, and we believe that when we gather together around this table, we are gathering around God's table, and we're doing what God is doing. Isaac is a beautiful example of that. The gathering together of various people in our community, the gathering together of people in all of their diversity, the gathering of different religious traditions, all to work on building the beloved community, is precisely the kind of gathering that God is doing, the kind of gathering that is the nature of God. So we support Isaac, and we support the theme, unity in community, because that's what God is all about. Thank you.
Mount Zion Baptist Church and the Northside Ministry Alliance, we really recognize that Isaac represents unity. Isaac represents change. So we're pleased to be a sponsor of this virtual banquet tonight because we believe in the mission and vision of Isaac. We see what Isaac is doing, bringing community organizations together for the betterment of our community. So we believe in Isaac. That's why we are a virtual sponsor. When you're talking about grasping change and in particular at the root, that's the essence of what we do at Northside Ministry Alliance and Mount Zion Baptist Church. We involve grassroots organizations, individuals from our community that are entrenched in our community from various aspects to affect change. And that's what we're looking forward to Dr. Dyson presenting tonight as he shares with us how that we can continue to do this and even on a greater level. The Mount Zion Baptist Church and Northside Ministry Alliance, we're looking forward to this virtual banquet because we believe it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to hear from Dr. Dyson and his expertise, his experience over the years as he has dealt with change, as he has dealt with grassroots organizations. So I believe that there is going to be inspiration and motivation for us to move forward to make a greater impact in this community.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gwendolyn Hooker. I am the founder and CEO of Helping Other People Exceed Hope Through Navigation. And it is my honor and privilege to be a sponsor for the Grasping Change at the Root, Growing the Beloved Community Virtual Banquet. It is with much appreciation to Dr. Charlay and her team to be here as the Hope sponsor. It is important to us as an organization to sponsor this event because we believe that Isaac in this theme for this year is very, very relevant to the work that we have collectively done together. And as they have done for many, many years prior to, really looking at the issues that we know that we need to grasp at the roots and change it all the way underneath all of the policies so that we can really change the outcomes for folks, change the outcomes and inequities for people that have been marginalized in our community. And I am so looking forward to Dr. Dyson as he delivers his keynote address to that point. So thank you very much. Congratulations to what will be an astounding and outstanding virtual banquet. And we look forward to what 2022 holds in store.
Hola, amigos and familia of Isaac. My name is Adrian Vasquez. I'm the Executive Director of El Concilio. We are so honored and it's a pleasure to sponsor Isaac Annual Banquet. The theme of this year, grasping the change at the root, growing the beloved community. This is very connected to the work El Concilio does in Kalamazoo. We are very focused on making sure we provide programs, services, and advocacy work to all Latinx community members. We know that many of the issues that they're facing, we have to attack them. We have to go into the roots of those issues to ensure we avoid to see more of our community members struggle, to avoid seeing many of our community members facing injustice. So that is why we are united. We are together with Isaac and all the organizations and congregations that are part of Isaac. We all believe in this change. We all believe in justice. And that's why we are gonna make this happen as one community. I hope you can join me. I hope you can continue to support Isaac for many years to come, because this work of justice is not gonna take 1 week, 1 year, or a few years. It's gonna continue for many years. But united, this can be an easy work, then it will happen. And we will make it happen with Isaac and with all of you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to continue working with all of you. Quiero felicitar a Isaac por el trabajo que han hecho, por el trabajo que van a continuar haciendo en justicia. El tema de este año, el año del banquete anual de este año es captar el cambio desde la raíz, hacer crecer la amada comunidad. Es muy importante que continuemos ese trabajo y ataquemos desde la raíz todos los problemas que nuestra comunidad está enfrentando. Pero unidos, con organizaciones, congregaciones y con todos ustedes, esto va a ser posible. No va a ser fácil, pero unidos podemos crear este cambio que queremos. Muchas gracias a todos por el apoyo. Espero que sigan apoyando el trabajo que Isaac hace en la comunidad. Y unidos vamos a lograr el cambio que queremos. Gracias. Muy buenas tardes.
Hi, I'm Reverend G, minister at the Unitarian Universalist Community Church of Southwest Michigan. Our church has been a member of Isaac for a good number of years. We, as a church community, deeply care about social justice issues and want to build a more just community in the greater Kalamazoo area. Through our collaboration with Isaac, we have been effective in making policy and practice change at the local level. In other words, we discovered that we can do more together than we can do alone. Here's to many more years of building together the beloved community. And now I hand it over to Regina Nelson, member of our congregation, who also serves on the Isaac Executive Board.
I look forward to the Isaac Banquet because it's the only time that I'm able to attend an event where all segments of our community are represented. All faiths, all races, all political parties, all neighborhoods, nonprofit organizations, and businesses. The Isaac Banquet is the epitome of diversity and inclusion. All are welcome. If we had more opportunities like this to celebrate with each other and see the best in each other, we would be the beloved community we are working to create.
Hi, I'm Miriam. I'm the Director of Religious Education at UU Community Church. We are so excited for the opportunity to hear the Reverend Dr. Dyson speak at the Isaac Virtual Banquet. As Unitarian Universalists, we are committed to widening the circle of our concern to address the disparities that exist at all levels for the well-being of Black people, Indigenous people, and other people of color, as well as the LGBTQ+ community, people living with limited economic means, and people living with disabilities. We look forward to being inspired and challenged by Dr. Dyson to grasp change at the roots and build a beloved community that benefits us all. Thank you, Isaac family and the leadership, for making this opportunity possible.
What up, though? My name is Ed Genesis. I'm an artist, activist, community leader, formerly incarcerated, directly impacted Black man. I'm also a member of Isaac's Anti-Gun Violence Task Force and lead organizer for Criminal Justice Transformation for Blocks United. I'm also a proud sponsor for Isaac's virtual banquet, Grasping Change at the Root. Grasping Change at the Root, that's not only Isaac's banquet theme and a dope name, by the way, but a way that we should be approaching the work in a way that Isaac does approach the work. And just to have Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson as the speaker, I think that just speaks to the work that Isaac's been doing and just speaks to me personally as a directly impacted, formerly incarcerated Black man. I'm definitely looking forward to Isaac's virtual banquet, Grasping Change at the Root, featuring Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. That's just dope within itself. But then also, my wife is being acknowledged, Vice Mayor Patrice Griffin. So looking forward to that. Had to slip that in. Catch y'all there. Peace.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael T. Scott, Senior Chief Servant and Senior Pastor of the Galilee Baptist Church right here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. On behalf of the leading lady, Dr. Tamara T. Scott, our officers, servant leaders, and members of the Galilee Baptist Church family, we are pleased to partner with Isaac as a corporate sponsor of this year's virtual banquet. The psalmist says in Psalm 133, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." We wholeheartedly believe that there's no better time than the present for us to grasp change at the root, growing the beloved community. We are particularly excited about this year's prolific and powerful speaker, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, and looking forward to his words of inspiration and impartation as we endeavor to do our part to grow this beloved community. We are also grateful that 3 members of our congregation will be highlighted this evening. Miss Brooke Edwards, the guest vocalist, Miss Wendy Fields, recipient of the Leader of the Year Award, and none other than Mother Kathy White, recipient of this year's Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you, President of Isaac, Pastor Douglas A. King, and Executive Director Dr. Charlotte Davis, and the entire Isaac family for your leadership and your willingness to get us closer toward that beloved community that we all long for. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the virtual banquet.
I'm Angela Graham with the Fetzer Institute, where we're helping build the spiritual foundation for a loving world. We're honored to support this year's Isaac virtual banquet. We join you in welcoming Dr. Dyson, whose message of building the beloved community is more important now than ever. And we join you in celebrating this year's Isaac awardees. As a community, we are blessed to have Isaac's leadership. On behalf of everyone at the Fetzer Institute, we thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily Olivares, and I am the co-manager for Truth, Virtue, Healing, and Transformation, which is hosted at the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. We are proud sponsors for the Isaac's virtual banquet this year. Isaac has been a phenomenal partner to TRHT within the housing work and the advocacy work. We want to support Isaac and their work in any way possible to continue the beautiful relationship TRHT and Isaac have.
Hi, I'm Stacy Ledbetter, leadership team member of TRHT Kalamazoo. Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson's educational and compelling teachings and preaching, and the Isaac virtual banquet theme of grasping change at the root, growing the beloved community, are seeds in the field of work of TRHT Kalamazoo, where our goal is to unearth and jettison the deeply embedded belief in a hierarchy of human value that sustains racism, to recognize the history and continued trauma resulting from that belief, and to create policy solutions that will sustain healing and structural change.
Hi, I'm Jen Hamos. I'm the Vice President of Initiatives and Public Policy at the Kalamazoo Community Foundation.
We're looking forward to Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson's keynote and celebrating the awards with our community, including many of our TRHT partners. We are especially proud of our past TRHT director, Ms. Sholana Lewis, who's being celebrated as a woman of equity tonight.
You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle. You are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. Of course I know I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? You're everything I wish I could be. I could fly higher than an eagle. For you are the wind beneath my wings. Did I ever tell you you're my hero? You're everything, everything I wish I could be. Oh, Lord, I can fly higher than an eagle. 'Cause you are the wind beneath my wings. God gives me grace, I'll run this race until I see my Savior face to face. I'm going up yonder. I'm going up yonder. To be with my Lord. Oh, I'm going up yonder. To be with my Lord. Anybody asked you where I'm going? Where I'm going soon. Anybody wants to know? Anybody asked you where I'm going? Where I'm going? Where I'm going?
ISAC stands for Interfaith Strategies for Advocacy and Action in the Community. ISAC was formed by a diverse set of clergy in response to disparities within our community.
ISAC believes in justice and equity.
ISAC stands for unity and love.
Hola amigos del concilio, hoy estoy aquí haciéndoles un video para decir un poco sobre ISAC, la organización con quien colaboramos, una organización que hace bastantes cosas contra la injusticia en colaboración de muchas iglesias y organizaciones.
ISAC believes that we are on this journey of life together.
ISAC is a family of diverse congregations and organizations.
ISAC believes in the power of collaboration and relationships.
ISAC believes that together we can do anything.
ISAC believes in putting our faith into action.
Es importante todo el trabajo que ellos hacen, ya que se encarga de asegurar de que muchas cosas que están pasando en nuestra comunidad sean eliminadas en cuestión de injusticias.
ISAC believes in the power of the people raising their collective voices.
ISAC is working to build the beloved community that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke of, building it here in Kalamazoo County.
A place where abundance, community, equity, hope, and most of all love are infused into our practices and policies. A place where each individual and every person is held as beloved.
Hello, welcome Kalamazoo community. Welcome the world today. We are excited. It is time to truly kick off ISAC virtual banquet. My name is Doug King. I'm blessed to serve on the executive committee as part of the leadership for ISAC. What is ISAC? We are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Unitarians, and non-religious. We are Black, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Islander, Indigenous, Middle Eastern, and white. We are immigrants. We are suburban, inner city, and rural. We are haves and have-nots. We are have a little want mores. We are bold, tenacious, and we don't back down. We are Kalamazoo County. Today is another special day, and so we want to take a moment to recognize this day that has been set aside for honoring our military veterans who have served in the United States Armed Forces and the sacrifice that they have made to help to provide for our many freedoms. We want to remind all of you that are on Facebook and YouTube to participate in the chat and talk back and forth to one another. Even though we're apart, we are still connected. You know, Dr. King stated the beloved community is an inclusive democratic reality. While not devoid of conflict, is free of violence. It is a place in which our deepest values of abundance, equity, community, hope, and most of all, love are infused into our policies and practices so that every person is held as beloved. Isaac is made up of over 30 member congregations and organizations. We're looking to build the beloved community in Kalamazoo County and are currently focusing on affordable housing, anti-racism, gun, community violence, and group violence. And we ought to invite the clergy. If you're a clergy or elected official, please put your name in the chat. And all beloved community leaders and members, we ask that you put your name in the chat. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Francis.
Hi, friends. I hope you can all hear me okay this evening. My name is Francis Vicioso, co-manager of TRHT, or Truth, Racial Healing and Transformation, Kalamazoo. Thank you so much for the invitation for us to be a part of your program and for your continued partnership and opportunity to sponsor and collaborate with such a beautiful organization. I'll start with how we traditionally start our meetings at TRHT with a land and people acknowledgement. We honor and pay our respects to the land on which we stand and its traditional stewards, the Anishinaabe, the Council of the Three Fires, which include the Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi, also known as the Ottawa, Chippewa, and Potawatomi tribes. We also acknowledge the people of African descent who were forcibly removed from their land and separated from their families through the enslavement Holocaust, and pay reverence and respect to them for building this country's infrastructure and economy with no compensation or reparations to date. Thank you so much.
Got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
He's got all of our families in his hands. He's got all of our families in his hands. He's got all of our families in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Él tiene el mundo entero en sus manos. Él tiene el mundo entero en sus manos.
He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody there in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody there in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
He has our families in his hand. He has our families in his hands. He has our families in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Él tiene el mundo entero en sus manos. Él tiene el mundo entero en sus manos.
He's got all our families in his hands. He's got all our families in his hands. He's got all our families in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got everybody there in his hands. He's got everybody here in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Thank you so much, everyone. It is now my honor to begin the introduction for our keynote speaker who will deliver our keynote address on tonight, the Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, distinguished university professor of African American and Diaspora Studies, College of Art and Science, and of Ethics and Society, Divinity School, and NEH Centennial Chair at Vanderbilt University, is one of America's premier public intellectuals and the author of numerous New York Times bestsellers, including Tears We Cannot Stop, What Truth Sounds Like, Jay-Z, and Long Time Coming. His latest book, Entertaining Race, Performing Blackness in America, was just released this week. A winner of the 2018 Nonfiction Southern Book Prize, Dr. Dyson is also a recipient of 2 NAACP Image Awards and the 2020 Langston Hughes Festival Medallion. Former President Barack Obama has noted, everybody who speaks after Michael Eric Dyson pales in comparison. A native of Detroit, Michigan, he is also an ordained Baptist minister since the age of 19. He is a highly sought after speaker who is known to excite both secular and sacred audiences. His new book, again, and here it is, the new book, right? Entertaining Race, Performing Blackness in America. Here is the copy. We have seen him on TV discussing his new book, Racism, and where we are currently as a country. All I can say is buckle your seatbelts, not just your lap belt, but your shoulder strap as well. Dr. Dyson will challenge, he will preach, he will speak truth. And as it can be put no more plainly, as I was talking to a young person that said, Dr. Dyson is going to be our keynote speaker. And he said, Dr. Dyson, that's a bad dude. And so I want to introduce and present to all of you the Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. And we want you to know, as the young person said, he's a bad dude. Dr. Dyson, it's in your hands.
Thank you, my friend and my brother, Reverend Dr. Professor Douglas King. I appreciate this tremendous opportunity, and to all of the wonderful folk that I've been able to chat with, Sister Davis, Sister Flora, and the like. It is a marvelous and matchless opportunity to be here today, this evening, and to chat with you. I'm a native Detroiter. I don't have my D hat on, but you know, I represent the D as much as I can. And therefore, by extension, I represent Michigan. And even though I can't say, like Glenn Miller did, I got a gal in Kalamazoo, I can say I got plenty of people I love there. And you all are certainly among them. What a tremendous opportunity it is to have the ability to chat a bit with this amazing group of folk. And, you know, I'm going to say a few words and then we can have some conversation, because it'll be best if I say some stuff and then y'all say some stuff back to me. And then as we talk and the stuff we talk about, out of that emerges some clear definition, some anatomy of possibility that takes shape in the interchange between us. So when I think about where we are as a nation, I think that your group represents and models the kind of togetherness that we need in this nation. You know, multiple religious groups or none at all, multiple ethnicities and races and genders and sexualities, viewpoints, worldviews, perspectives, understandings, and even in the land acknowledgement, both the indigenous folk who have constituted such a framework for our evolution and development, and the African peoples extracted from their native haunts and forcibly against their will, to be redundant, brought here to the new world to shape what we are. And then thinking of these native peoples, the indigenous folk, the African folk, the Latinos, Latinx, broadly speaking, all of the people who have made us who we are as a nation, who are not often recognized. And so on this Veterans Day, I join you in saluting the work of men and women who have sacrificed their lives and made it possible for us to be here. But I also salute the veterans of domestic war, the warfare against America's worst side. Abraham Lincoln talked about the better angels of our nature, but also the worst demons of our imagination. And I am honored to be in that tradition of truth tellers and loyalty lovers who imagine a different future and therefore put to the test the durability of American ideals about democracy, truth, and justice. And here y'all are dealing with housing, dealing with equity of all sorts economically, dealing with the welfare of our communities, building up an anti-racist movement, and forging connections with those who want to reduce violence at every level. Spiritual violence, moral violence, ethical violence, soul murder, as one writer talked about it. The murder of aspiration, the murder of hope, so that for every Kyle Rittenhouse who kills people in Kenosha, Wisconsin, there are many more who assassinate the potential and hopefulness of young people born in various conditions of the American soul, and yet who are snuffed out before they're able to light a candle to clear a path for their way out of the misery. And so I'm honored to be here with y'all. And look, if we talk about the state of soul, right, we talk about the state of the nation, but let's speak about the state of soul and what we can do as religious people, and even more broadly as spiritual people. You ain't got to be a believer to have a spiritual connection to your fellow citizen, right? You can be atheistic or agnostic and still have a connection, a membrane that joins us together in common pursuit of ideals that are noble and aspirations that are uplifting, and the possibility that we will continue to generate serious and sustained communion with one another as we move forward in this nation. Even folk in the hotel hearing that I'm talking about this, trying to call me to get in on it, but I'm going to ignore them for now. So the possibility of our togetherness, if I were to talk about the state of our soul, because the Southern historian C. Van Woodward said that a title is a contract between an author and his audience, or in this case, between a speaker and his audience. So I want to honor that contract, but I want to veer off of it as well. In the next few minutes, I'll talk about the state of our soul, collectively speaking, and then engage you in conversation. So when I think about the state of our soul, look, we are in one sense, tremendous difficulty, even as we have enormous possibility laid before us. I don't believe in a deepening of the pessimism, though I do believe in a skepticism informed by enlightened appraisal of our situation, right? Rhino Niebuhr, the great theologian, said there's a difference between optimism and hope. Optimism is a shallow virtue. Let me go out here and see which way the wind is blowing. I'm optimistic that the Lions might win a game. That's tremendous optimism. But based upon, does your O-line work? Do you have a quarterback golf that can step up to to the plate and not throw some interceptions? Do you have a running game and so on? But hope, Rhino Niebuhr said, exists even against the evidence. So hoping that the Lions can win, despite the lack of any concrete evidence that winning is in their future, but to believe that that possibility exists, and in one sense, helping to create the conditions for the emergence of the possibility you foretell. They say the best way to predict the future is to what? Participate in it and to help change it. But that hopefulness then is deeply rooted and entrenched in a way of imagining a different future. And that's what I want to do with you today, have an imagination tour of possibilities. So the state of our soul when it comes to housing and anti-racism and gun violence, we in tough situations, right? If you ain't got no crib, the possibility of you being able to be creative and imaginative is very difficult. And I mean by crib, of course, the vernacular expression, colloquially driven, of having housing. Forgive me for my West Side Detroit vernacular. But if you ain't got no house, and if you ain't got no stable situation, if you don't have the possibility of being able to go home and being able to have a domicile that's warm, that's lit in both the contemporary sense of that term, but also just the physical lighting that takes place. If you don't have warmth and heat and lighting and a place to gather together, and you are alienated from your environment because you don't have the requisite materials to create a home, you're in tough situations. And then you think about the housing stock that is available to people. You think about the degree to which we have failed to provide adequate housing for people. And when we do, the segregated housing leads some to one part of the town and some to the other. Some are relegated to the periphery, even though we've gotten rid officially of redlining and steering. We know it still exists. We know people are still directed towards certain areas of the town, of the city, of the municipality. We know that there are reservations for those who will be ghetto dwellers, or those who are in urban situations of lower economic status, and the housing stock that they inherit, the public housing that they have, and then the arguments over whether or not it is the intent of a particular housing authority to segregate or discriminate against citizens, whether it is intended or not. The Supreme Court finally ruled a few years ago, it ain't about your intention, it's about the consequence on the people who inhabit the housing. And so just having adequate housing is something that those of us who got cribs can take for granted. You work hard all day, you go home. Your kids are at home. There's food there. There's warmth there. They may be grandma and grandpa there. If you have multilateral extensions of extended familial relations, of kinship bonds that exceed the immediate familial gathering. You got your grandma and your grandpa. You might have your uncle or your cousin or your nephew. And so we expect that in these domestic arrangements, they are housed in physical abodes that accommodate the intimacy and kinship fostered through a concept of family. Now, we know, as Jonathan Livingston Seagull's creator said, members of the same family rarely grow up under the same roof, right? We know that kinship is bigger than blood. We know, for instance, that Reverend Lundberg and Sister Davis are sisters, even if they ain't got blood ties, right? Now, they ain't necessarily sharing bills, but they do share aspirations and appetites for the possibility of hope and love to prevail. And so housing is more than a physical domicile, though that physical domicile is critical. How we distribute housing, where it is located in the geography of potential, where if you're on the right or the wrong side of the tracks, so to speak, if you have a neighborhood where your house is located that puts you in a tax zone where your kids get a better education. People be moving their whole families into a better house so they can have a better chance to have better education. You know, for those school districts where the bottom line and your economy and your tax base determines what resources will flow into that particular school. If you ain't got the lottery or no gambling or no casino, supposedly to help supplement, right? And so housing is critical because it is an avatar. It is a symbol for the organization of family life, for the flourishing of kinship, for citizens to find spaces of recreation away from the elements of nature and the dizzying distractions of external play in fields of work and leisure. So the crib is important. And yes, that vernacular expression drawn from African American society may even signify crib as an infant laying, as a family growing, as a place to be nurtured. And so all of these forces that undermine the possibility of people having access to equal housing, people with their well-established cribs don't want people in, you know, lower economic positions to have housing near them. We don't want the trouble they bring. We don't want the problems they offer. So we want to keep it clean. And we want to do the zoning of districts that rule out Section 8 housing. Hell, the President of the United States of America living in public housing. Now, it's some pretty good public housing. I'm just here to tell you. So on your Section 8, you can't put down 1616 Pennsylvania Avenue. It ain't gonna happen, bruh. But they be living in public housing, right? They ain't paying for it. It's subsidized. So public housing doesn't have to have the stigma it does when we're living in the projects. As the great philosopher Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z, says, you know why they call the projects of projects? Because we are a project, an experiment within which we begin to interrogate these converging and conflicting forces. So public housing, subsidized housing, the ability of people to live decently with a tax base that all of us as citizens are contributing to. You got these right-wing conceptions that somebody is biting off of the public till. Yeah, those people who be saying that poor people are the ones biting off the public till. Y'all the ones. You ain't paying no taxes. How many taxes has Jeff Bezos paid? These rich people, these billionaires ain't paying no taxes. They going to the moon or trying to get there. They going to space. They having lunch on Mars. Okay, it's a metaphor. It ain't really there. All right, I'm just saying. They even taking Captain Kirk. Damn. So they flying out of space and we can't even find space here on Earth. They are colonizing interstellar, intergalactic possibilities. Well, right here on Earth, we can't even organize space to be conducive to vulnerable citizens deserving of fundamental protection. That's why Martin Luther King Jr. at the end of his life, writing in Where Do We Go From Here, arguing about the world house, getting rid of food insecurity, because housing and where you live determines where the grocery store is. People ain't got Whole Foods in their neighborhood. They ain't got half foods. They ain't got food. They ain't got no food. And it's more expensive to be poor than it is to be middle class and wealthy. You got to pay higher prices for lesser quality stuff. The ghetto grocer ain't stocking nourishing cereals. It's high sugar content cereals. It's mystery meat. And so the truth of the matter is that it costs to be deprived, to be poor, and to be vulnerable. And so we're living in these physical spaces. I mean, even Pete Buttigieg the other day said, My God, even the dadgum geography and infrastructure has to deal with racial inequality, because you remember Robert Moses built the bridges so low that the buses from the hood couldn't get through. You ain't being slick. You ain't being tricky. We know what you was doing. I know it's what you were doing. We knew what you was doing. Bruh, trying to put the okie doke on us. So housing is critical. And when we speak about violence, that's related to housing. People living up on the hill ain't got to worry about as much of immediate exposure to that violence in houses that are contiguous to vulnerable situations that have a geography of exposure. Because if you ain't living in the hood where the crack house is, where the drugs are distributed, back when crack was what these pills are, I was a real star. Okay, I got to drop the line from Jay-Z on you. Got to drop some bars on you. So the geography of vulnerability is dictated by your economic status, but the particular vulnerability to violence is itself driven again by your economic status. You can't afford the right kind of crib, you can't afford to live in the right kind of neighborhood. And the violence is real. The physical threat to your being is real. The physical assault upon you is real. The degree to which forms of violence, domestic violence, because of sheer economic misery, exacerbating toxic masculinity, exacerbating the misogyny, exacerbating the patriarchy, exacerbating the horrible conditions under which poor people live. It ain't that it's just poor men who are horrible to women. It's some rich ones that are horrible as hell out here. All right. It's ones that wear the title of doctor and reverend and professor. So don't act like it's only poor men mistreating women, right? That's across the board. Men who think they own the lives and the livelihood, the potential and the possibility of women. Patriarchy's horrors and scars are more deeply seen and visibly exposed when they are brought to the surface in public spaces where people disagree and argue and therefore go to jail because they're seen to be potential candidates for talk shows that talk about poor white folk or poor people in general, that warehouse them as some kind of freaks, when the real uppity muck people are just as vicious and violent in their expressions of anti-feminist, anti-female, anti-women sensibilities and beliefs. And so gun violence, of course, itself, in a culture where the Second Amendment might as well be the second commandment. Thou shalt bear arms, like Moses came down from the mountain and said, where you get at? Where's your AK-47? Where's your Glock? Where's your 45? Playing more numbers than the man on the street with the street lottery. I dreamed about blood last night. Box that and put a quarter on it. Oh, I'm sorry. I flashed back to Detroit, 1967. Y'all forgive me. And so gun violence exists in a culture that is obsessed with guns as icons and deities. Damn Second Amendment was created when they were shooting muskets, homie. They were thinking people could own it because look, you know, everybody could have a musket in the crib, we could do it. They weren't talking about these handguns we got now. They weren't talking about why you need an AK-47. Why is Kyle Rittenhouse at 16 and 17 years old walking around with an automatic weapon? This is the sickness of a society. I don't even want to blame him. This is a society that is deeply entrenched in violence, addicted to it. They want to blame some rappers. Really, what happened to violence before? Rap ain't but 40 years old, god dang it. What was you doing before then? Rat-a-tat-tat, never hesitate to put a brother on his back. So peep out the manuscript. Yeah. It's sexy. It's seductive. That kind of violence, right? But what about the pre-existing conditions of violence in a culture that assign lesser worth to vulnerable populations, women, people of color, poor people? And then when the violence rises in these white communities, oh my God, you would think, look, if they ain't gonna do it when they killed them kids up in Connecticut, dog, they ain't got no law that's gonna come. These poor white little kids got murked, taken out, and these right-wing vicious virtuecrats refuse to pass meaningful legislation, even for background checks. They can't even concede to the possibility that we need to know what kind of people getting these guns. They are so ironclad in their deference to and worship of the Second Amendment, out of all context, without any serious political or philosophical depth. Why are you so intent on owning a gun? Because people with guns use them. That's part of the dadgum problems. And if we had fewer guns, right, then we could deal with the situation. Now, you know, folk, for the most part in London, if you ain't got no gun, neither the cops nor the robbers got them, then dadgum. Now, you might wield a knife and you might hurt people, but you're going to hurt a lot more people with an automatic weapon shooting 50 people at a clip than somebody stabbing, because somebody going to get to that person, right? Violence will still be universal, but it doesn't have to be universally viewed as a means toward carnage and self-destruction, because everybody ain't got the same kind of laws we got in this country. We are so advanced in so many ways and so damn backwards in others. Other nations are not obsessed with the paraphernalia of doom and destruction like we are in this nation. And so gun violence is vicious, and it hurts vulnerable Black and brown and indigenous people for sure, in disproportionate fashion, because they're relegated to the margins and they're relegated to centers of hurt and depression and pain and destruction. So their resort to those destructive forces certainly get the most headlines, but it's everywhere. And we've got to address the root of the problem, the sexualization of weapons of destruction, the fetishization of the automatic weapon is something we got to talk about. And then we link that to race, because, you know, the reality is America be just teetering on the edge of the abyss, back and forth. One year you see George Floyd killed, and America pours into the streets. Oh my God, what can we do? How can we address this situation? You know, and a lot of white people got involved for the first time. You ain't gonna have that kind of mass movement without a bunch of white people. I'm sorry. The white folk got out there, right? You're always asking white folk, where you at? They showed up. Now, they showed up because we're in a pandemic, right? And the image of George Floyd would have gone viral regardless, or as the brothers in the street say, irregardless. It's in the dictionary now, irregardless. We have done great work vernacularly and grammatically to reconstitute the environ linguistically of American expression. So they'd have been out here regardless. But when you're at the crib, the domicile, because of a pandemic, and you have the ability to stay at home because you got wideband, you got broadband, you got the ability of your computer to accommodate your need virtually, because a lot of people ain't got that. So they have to go to McDonald's in the darn parking lot to get a public Wi-Fi for their kids. Yeah, everybody can't afford everything you afford, son. They ain't got an iPhone or a Samsung, god dang it. They ain't got no MacBook Pro or amateur for that damn matter. And so many of us were at home. Wait a minute, what's on our phone? What? George Floyd, what? And so many white people got involved. A, because we were at home during a pandemic and the images flooded our phones more quickly. And our devices, we were literally left to our own devices. And so now we're looking at them. And then B, white folk were like, but wait a minute, ain't we seen this movie before? Ain't this a rerun from Eric Garner? White people are like Jiminy Cricket, man. Black people have been telling us all along this shit is wrong. Excuse me, this stuff is wrong. I hope no kids are on this stuff. This bull feathers is wrong. And God darn it, if they ain't telling the truth. Jiminy Cricket, look at this. Like we saw Eric Garner. And now George Floyd, how many more Black people have said, I can't breathe? So white folk knew this is a repeat. This is this coming again. And how many more times has it been repeated and we don't know? So white bodies, it's one thing to have white identification with, white allyship with us by staying at home writing a check. It's another thing to get in the street, dog. And many white brothers and sisters got in the street. In fact, the 2 people killed in Kenosha by this young zealot were white. Heather Heyer in Charlotte, white. So we ain't gonna never make it white versus black is right versus wrong. And white folk were putting their bodies where their mouths were. So recognize the progress there. Recognize the ability, because real progress means you put your ass on the line with me. Ain't everything else is talk. Everything else is flibberty-gibbet. Everything else is philosophical conundrum, bruh. Until you remember that story? Until you get out there with us. Remember that story of the chicken and the pig having a conversation going down the street? Hey, let's make a contribution to breakfast. Oh, okay. So the chicken has to give up an egg. The pig got to give up his A-double-S. Hope no kids around here. You got to give up your behind to make breakfast. And we've been the pig. And now we asking white folk, come out here and be pigs with us. Ironically, against the cops who are dehumanizing us. Le cochon bleu, right? So the thing is that we have been the pigs in the American experiment. We have to give up our behinds, our futures, in order for democracy to work. Now we're asking white folk do the same thing. And they did. They flooded those streets. And in places where they got 4 black people, there were Black Lives Matter banners. And white folk were standing tall. Less than a year later, anti-CRT. White folk will not stand still. The conservative white folk, oh my God, we can't see our fellow brothers and sisters out there identifying with those Negroes. So Fox News gets in gear. Christopher Rufo's out here reading some anti-racist literature and discovers that critical race theory appears in a lot of their stuff. And then he invents that as a paranoia and a wedge issue for the right wing. It was evil genius, evil, but genius. And so now critical race theory, people don't even know what the heck critical race theory means. You ask white folk, what does it mean? I don't know, but I tell you what, I don't agree with it. Come on, Bob. I'm against that critical race theory. They're taking my kids and making them ashamed to be white. If your daddy's David Duke, you ought to be ashamed to be white. But other than that, okay, I get you. That ain't what critical race theory is doing. Are we talking about white privilege? Absolutely. Are we trying to ask people to think about what their role and responsibility is? Yeah, but all we saying with critical race theory, and by the way, critical race theory is a bunch of Jewish cats back in, Germany at the Frankfurt School, Max Horkheimer, Herbert Marcuse, right? Herbert Marcuse was the teacher of Angela Davis in California because these Jews were pushed out of Germany by the Holocaust, and being pushed out of Germany by the Holocaust, a lot of them went to historically black colleges and universities. Whoa. So look at the relationship between critical theory of the Frankfurt School. And Max Horkheimer said this: the critical in the word critical race theory, the term critical race theory, means those things that are enslaving us, we must be freed from. Wait a minute, that's what critical means in the critical theory? So critical race theory is critical theory coming home, because those Jewish immigrants teaching at Black schools helped foster and facilitate a theoretical movement burgeoning in their own times that came full flesh by Black people, in the ideas of Black people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell and the like. Critical race theory, those things which emancipate us from those things that enslave us. Who gonna be against that? Some right-wing conservative reactionary white brothers and sisters who are thin-skinned and fragile. Always talking about women as fragile. Always talking about as Black people as fragile. Always talking about we so weak and can't stand up. Boy, you scratch one of these darn right-wing conservative white boys, they just, oh my God, playing victim bigger than any person who's been victimized. Always telling women they victims, Black people they victims, brown people they victims. Y'all the biggest victim mongers in the world. A certain class of white men and others who fancy themselves to be the greatest victims of race, when you're living in a culture that has perpetuated racial inequality and you've enjoyed the fruits of it. Now, it don't mean you consciously did that. And I understand white folk don't want their kids to go to school and be taught you're a bunch of, I get that. But here's the problem. You ain't asking what the Black kids already have to think too. I'd be more sympathetic if you went, those Black kids are under assault too. You don't give a damn. You kick them out of school earlier and earlier, right? Expulsion rates of both the indigenous and Black communities are skyrocketing. 5 and 6 and 7, 8 years old, kicking them out of school. Then they go to detention. Detention becomes a warehouse for jail. Jail becomes a feeder for prison. You don't ask, why is it that young Black kids are seen to be older than they are? They've done studies. Tamir Rice, 12 years old, in Cleveland, the police roll up on him and in 2 seconds, he's dead. If Black kids are not too young to be victims of racism, white kids ain't too young to understand it. Bottom line, both go together. If you want one to stop, stop the other one. Otherwise, we end the game together, homie. And so, my brothers and sisters, a lot more to be said. I'm talking too much. The state of the soul of this nation as we struggle with housing, as we struggle with violence, as we struggle with race, we got to learn to commit ourselves as deeply and profoundly as we can in a common commitment to eradicating those forces that make us less human and that deprive us of empathy. You go on Twitter, ain't no empathy on Twitter. Social media, I sound like an old man, like a Luddite. I might be, but damn, ain't no, you go on Twitter, man, they just, the violence and the vengeance. Ain't no redemption. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't trying to cancel Bull Connor, he's trying to cancel white supremacy. This cancel culture is white supremacy by other means. Now, let's be real. In all groups, now all of us, anti-race, Me Too, we got to be careful about, are we seeking justice or vengeance? Like we got to have the possibility of people being able to be restored in restorative justice. We hate the viciousness of the evil we see. We love the human beings who make the mistakes, and we got to find a way to redeem them and to restore them. First, you got to be held accountable. We understand that. But this dang cancel culture, you make one mistake and you're done. You could be a good white liberal and you made one dadgum mistake and your whole life is done. That is nonsense. Martin Luther King Jr. said, Lex talionis, an eye for an eye, everybody gonna be blind. Shoot, you cancel, everybody gonna be canceled in cancel culture. So slow down with that, Mace. You're killing them. Okay, Diddy, 1990s, come on, y'all. I'm just trying to break it down for you. So the thing is, the state of the soul is healthy if those of us who are willing to invest ourselves in the redemption, restoration, and reconstruction of society are committed in kind to love the vulnerable, to raise the invisible, and to invest in the inviolable principles of love, truth, and justice. so that justice is what love sounds like when it speaks in public. And when love speaks in public, justice is its righteous outcome. Let me end there. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dyson. Yeah, words cannot express our appreciation for what you have said. We are going to quickly go into a couple of questions. Those who are on Zoom, we're going to allow you to, those clergy and leaders, to ask a question. If you would use your chat or raise your hand, we are just going to please ask that you take no more than 30 seconds to ask your question. Please do not deliver a dissertation prior to your question. Just if we could just ask the question so multiple people can, or more people can ask a question as well. So Dr. Davis and I are going to try to work this. And so if you have a question, first on Zoom, we have those who are gathering questions from Facebook and YouTube. But for those of you who are on Zoom, if anyone has a question, we're going to allow you to quickly ask that at this time on the Zoom. We're just trying to peruse and see hands or.
I thought I saw a hand too. Yes, Brother Ed. There you go, Brother Ed. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Thank you very much for being here. My question is really, you pretty much laid out a lot, and we're doing a lot of advocacy work in the community, but a way to put it on the platform, you do a lot of different things. It's books, it's speaking, it's media. Is that the way that we should just continue with the advocacy? All hands on deck and just pushing in every way we possibly can? Or do you have some jewels that you can drop on us?
Well, you dropping jewels right there, brother. You know, and thank you for keeping the toothpick in. I love that look. So look, man, the thing is that, you know, as all the people on here, Dr. Davis and so many others would recognize, we got to do everything we can. We can't afford, you know, people be at, you got a PhD, friends, you talking about rap, look, dude, I'm doing everything I can. First of all, I was a teen father hustling on the streets. Then to go to college, I was 21. So I ain't get no PhD to impress no other scholars. I got a PhD to help my people. So we got to do everything we can. I'm out here. I was on The Real today with the ladies kicking it. I was on Stephen Colbert. I'm on James Corden. I'm on The View. I'm on Gayle King. I'm on NPR. I don't care. I'm on every forum I can be on trying to communicate a message. I preach in churches. I write books like Brothers Write Hooks. That's what I do. 24 and 28 years. That's what I do. I represent. So yes, we have to do everything imaginable, possible at every point to get this message out. Because I was on Bill Maher fighting about critical race theory. Then I'm on James Corden talking about, you know, talking about Aaron Rodgers. I'm on Stephen Colbert talking about Beyonce. I'm doing what I can to make sure that we forge connection with like-minded individuals and joining in local community organizations, in local voting rights struggles, in struggles over fair housing, and struggles over educational equity. I should have spoken a lot more about that. My God, the centrality of education for the distribution of resources in this country and as a means of weeding out the deserving and the undeserving, unfortunately and unfairly. So yes, we got to do everything we can, all hands on deck, as you said, to make sure we spread that message. Thank you, my brother.
Any other questions on Zoom? We also have pre-submitted questions, but we want Reverend Rachel.
Yes, I send my gratitude, echoing so many others. And Dr. Dyson, I would love to hear about your practices, or maybe just practices you send to the rest of us to keep showing up hopeful again and again, even when the world keeps breaking our hearts.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Reverend. It's hard out here. As y'all know, it's hard out here. I start saying, it's hard out here for a pimp, right? A public intellectual with moral principles, pimp, P-I-M-P. So, or people invested in moral propriety. You know, however you want it, it's hard out here, right? The world breaks your heart. You got to get a practice. I listen to Luther Vandross. Don't you remember? I told you I loved you, baby. Yeah, that's what I do. Anita Baker, Aretha Franklin, right? Some Nas, some Jay, some Pac. You gotta escape. I watch movies. I used to go to the movies, man. The COVID done messed me up, but I got into a couple of them. You know, I get on the Netflix. I love movies. The Godfather, Look County Massacre, my boy. You know, so the thing is that you got to find an escape from the relentless punishment of constant awareness, and yet you got to find ways to restore yourself and to recharge your batteries. And you do this by taking what you do with deadly seriousness, but don't take yourself too seriously at all. You know, it's like with Elijah in the Bible, Reverend Rachel, you know, it is enough, O Lord, now take away my life. For I am not better than thy fathers. They have taken down thy altars and slain all thy prophets. I ain't better than the people I thought I was. Yeah, so stop all that. I'm not my ancestors. You damn right you ain't, because you ain't got that kind of power, bruh. You ain't got that kind of skill. So I'll put my hands on you. You don't even know what your ancestors did. They didn't put it on Instagram. Why are you telling people what you doing? Bad boys move in silence like lasagna. Sorry. So the thing is, real G's move in silence like lasagna. That's what he really said, with the G being silent. Okay, I messed it up. But there it is. Thank you, Little Wayne. Appreciate you. So the point is that it is enough, O Lord, now take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. Because now that I'm in this movement, I'm in this generation, I think we're doing it better. It's tough, it's resistant. The evil is always coming. And so what did God do? Elijah, first of all, you ain't the only one left, homie. I am left. But go over here. First of all, lay down, get some sleep, get you some grub. Remember, you know, like you tired and you're depressed. Get your mental health together. Yes, self-care is fine. Take a day, chill out, get some rest. You're just tired. It's not that you're pessimistic or you're just tired, homie. You're worn out. Now, when you get up after you had a little night's sleep, look over here. What do you see? 7,000 people who ain't sold out. Oh, you ain't the only one. Stop believing you are the only one. You're not, even when it looks that way. And so God said, you ain't the only one. And as a result of that, if you chill out, you begin to understand that there's a community of people that is there to aid and assist you. And so it's extremely important for us to find a way to restore ourselves, to get our groove back, to not take ourselves so seriously, even though we take the work we do with deadly seriousness, and to find ways to be restored and to be given a sense of redemptive possibility and hopefulness in the midst of those struggles. I hope that that helps a little bit there.
Thank you. We are going to quickly take a Facebook question, Dr. Davis, and then we'll try to quickly come back. We have about 5 minutes or so left, and so we're going to try to squeeze in as many questions as we can. So, Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Elder King, and thank you, Dr. Dyson. Humans of Kalamazoo ask, and we're not speaking this into existence at all, but what happens if Trump gets reelected and hate crimes rise even more? And how can more people unite locally?
That's water. I just want y'all to this water. So look, he might get reelected, but you know, that's real talk right there, because people are stunning, right? All these people to try to say, oh, that's about poor white people. No, it ain't. Rich white people too. Rich people, period. 13% of black men went up to 18% of black men, even higher numbers of black women. What y'all doing? 53% of eligible white women vote. What in the hell? Right? With you black women, you white women, you black men, what is the deal? Because you think some dude who's full of bravado and I'm going to do it and so on, ignorant, lethally unintelligent. As I said at Aretha Franklin's funeral, you lugubrious leech, you dim-witted dictator, you foolish fascist, you dopey doppelganger of deceit. My God, okay, I don't believe in name calling, but dadgum sometimes. So the thing is, we got to keep moving. We got to keep stepping. We can't rest all our eggs in one basket. We can't believe that the absence of Trump is going to be great, because look at what happened. Look at what's happening now with Joe Biden. He can't get 50-50 split. Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, they causing trouble from within. Because if we had a 60-40, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema wouldn't mean nothing. They'd be doing what they're doing, tripping, and we would still be moving on. But because they're trying to exploit the numbers, so it's a problem right now without Trump. Thing is, you got to get a Trump-proof theory about how the world operates, whether he's there or not. You got to keep stepping, keep rising up, keep raising your voice, keep sharpening your vision, keep summoning your imagination to be able to do and believe what is necessary. So how we create that humanity and consciousness, we call upon each other, we love each other, we depend upon each other, and we believe it ain't about who's in office, it's who's in us, as who's in office operates, and who is in us, what is in us, what's in our humanity, what's in our, the Bible said to Moses, God says, what's in your hand, Moses? Your staff. Call on your staff of your organization, the staff of your determination. Call on the things that you got in your own hand, your imagination, your belief. Invent stuff. Facebook didn't exist when Zuckerberg was a kid. Twitter wasn't there when Jack was a kid. Instagram wasn't there. People had to invent that crap. So I'm telling y'all, you got to invent what you need. If I was preaching, Reverend Rachel, good God Almighty. Oh Lord. So the thing is, you got to invent what you need. Not only we are what we're looking for, we also have the answers to the questions we got. And we are what we need. So let's imagine a different future and continue to move forward.
Pastor Bell.
I'm gonna take one more question before I have to jump. I got to go to St. Louis right now, y'all. The beauty of virtual reality. I'll be in St. Louis in a minute.
God bless you, Dr. Dyson. And this may be a rhetorical question. What do we do to push the Democrats to stop waiting around or trying to even barter with the Republicans because they are not interested? It's a chess game, and they've whittled down the budget, from far from what it was originally stated as. So what can we do to push that agenda of the Democratic Party instead of trying to reach across the aisle, because they did not hesitate one bit for the 4 years Trump was in office, reaching across anything because they had the votes to do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is, can we, thank you, Reverend. I know you can preach yourself crazy. I mean, the thing is that we got to remember that, right? You and Reverend Jocelyn Mason, we could get y'all out there dropping some gems on these people. Because the thing is, as I take my leave, here's the thing, is that why you trying to negotiate with people, don't negotiate with terrorists. Now, that's extreme. So what am I saying? I'm saying grow a pair of eyes and be able to see what's going on here. Right? I thought we learned from Obama. Stop trying to reach across the aisle for people who are going to slap your hand. Right? The Republicans are Melania Trump. Stop it. Damn, I miss Melania. Hell out of here. So they ain't trying to talk to you. They ain't trying to holler at you. Get your hand off me. I don't even want to talk to you. Now, so that doesn't mean you give up on the possibility of bipartisanship. That means you understand power dynamics. like you said, we started what, 3.5 down to 1.9, and it's the Democrats from within, Sinema and Manchin, who don't give a darn about voting rights, who don't care about the filibuster being unequal and unjust. So we got to push people. We got to get Biden that message. We got to continue in our organizations, communicate our displeasure. Now, I don't want to do it, to cut off our nose to spite our face, stay out of the midterm election, and then we get most screwed. And that's the difficult position of those of us who are progressive, knowing that you do with the best you can. You do the best you can with what you got. And we got Biden and we got Kamala Harris, but dadgum, can y'all stand up, grow a spine? Biden has already acknowledged that Black people put him in office. Well, then remember that. And remember what Black people have had to do when we didn't have the upper hand. We had to keep stepping. We had to keep moving. We didn't bellyache and kvetch. Oh my God, they don't have a majority. We ain't never had it. So we had to use, Martin Luther King Jr. didn't come out of a majoritarian situation, but he changed the world. If you have enough belief and dream and vision. So we got to ask our brothers and sisters on the progressive side, on the liberal side, on the moderate side, come on. If we together, bind together, we can bind what's on earth and in heaven, right? If you say what's on earth and in heaven, we can do it. So the thing is that we have to commit ourselves to doing it. We got to stop asking for everybody to like us. Like my picture, like me on Instagram. Look, dude, the Republicans don't like you and they're unlikable. Josh Hawley, the people who are over there are doing horrible things. I'm not trying to demonize us versus them in the Manichaean distinction. I am saying at the end of the day, dance with the one that brung you. If you went to dance, don't dance with every other girl. Oh, she fine. Oh, she good. Dance with the one that had enough nerve to show up with you, that has integrity. Dance with the dude who brought you in his little Corvette. No, he didn't have no Corvette. He ain't even had a darn Pinto, but he worked hard and one day made something out of himself with your help. Dance with the people who brought you in. And we have to remember, working class people are the masses of people. And if we can find ways to convince them that we are not their enemy, critical race theory ain't trying to kill your mama and your kids, we can find new creative ways to talk about policing and so on and gain that majority and then tell these spineless Democrats to stand up and act like you got some get up and go and you're done gone and went. Stand up on principle and derive that from the very people who put you in the office. I got more to say, but you know how it is. But thank y'all so very kindly.
Preacher, you got 3 closes, man. You get 3 closes.
You go on and hoop for me, Doc. Go on and hoop for me. I'm going to St. Louis. But oh Lord. All right, I gotta go. Love y'all.
Thank you, Dr. Dyson.
All right, thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you. As we said, buckle your seatbelts. We certainly thank Dr. Dyson for delivering those remarks. Is Dr. I don't see Dr. Michael T. Scott. So we want to, again, thank Dr. Dyson, and we want to introduce Brooke Edwards, who is our soloist for tonight. So let's welcome Brooke at this time.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sky. Weight on my shoulders, oh, let in my oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I waded through muddy waters. You know I got a made of mine. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. 'Cause I fight with the strength that I've got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. What's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone, and I just might fail, but Lord knows I've tried. Show stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. You hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
So thank you, Brooke, for that beautiful song. Thank you, Dr. Dyson, for that wonderful message. Hello, my name is Reverend Jocelyn Mason, and I am the Senior Minister at Unity of Kalamazoo. I am also on the Executive Committee and the Anti-Racism Task Force for Isaac. And we at Isaac are so grateful for our generous sponsors and our partners who are engaged and doing this work of justice, equity, and anti-racism. So we want to thank our sponsors this evening. Our Rooted Change sponsors are the Truth and Racial Healing Transformation, TRHT. Our equity sponsor is the Fetzer Institute. Our Hope sponsors are St. Martin of Tours, the People's Church of Kalamazoo, Grace Covenant Ministries, the Galilee Baptist Church of Kalamazoo, Hope Through Navigation, St. Luke's Episcopalian Church, Northside Ministerial Alliance, Mount Zion Baptist Church, First Presbyterian Church, First Methodist Church, and Erase. We want to send heartfelt thanks to all of our wonderful community sponsors and a sincere gratitude to all of our awesome peace sponsors. We could not do this work without you, and we are so grateful for all of this wonderful support that brings us such an awesome speaker like Dr. Dyson, who gives us a whole lot to think about. Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you so much, Reverend Mason. My name is Charlotte Davis, and I am the Executive Director of Isaac. It is now my sincere pleasure to acknowledge our 2021 awardees. These are leaders who work tirelessly because they love our community, and they are truly committed to doing the difficult yet vital work of building the beloved community. The work of anti-racism, equity, inclusion, love, and justice. Each awardee will receive a certificate in a beautiful frame, courtesy of a valued partner, Tradition Frames. And first, our Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Ms. Kathy White, November 11th, 2021. For representing Galilee Baptist Church on the Isaac Leadership Board ever since the first Isaac Covenant celebration in 2002. For your commitment to walking the talk by joining one of the first Isaac task forces when they were formed at the very first Isaac Issues Convention in 2003. For your many years of leadership as a founding member of the Housing Task Force, working on every listening campaign, issues convention, and public meeting. For your enthusiasm about going to every single kind of leadership training offered by Gamaliel, no matter how far away, and for trying to get Elder King to send you to all of them all over again. For your astounding accomplishment of calling up Governor Jennifer Granholm and getting her office to change their decision and send the governor to speak at the Isaac public meeting at Galilee Baptist Church in 2006. You are a warrior of faith and justice, and we are deeply grateful.
Thank you very much. It is a great honor to be recognized for this Lifetime Achievement Award. I am grateful to the Isaac organization for this honor. And while I stand here alone, I would like to thank Dr. Felton, Dr. Scott, along with the Galilee Baptist Church family for their support since 2003. To my family and friends who motivated and encouraged me to do what I do. And most of all, I would like to thank my Heavenly Father, because of him who give me strength, and I am able to share with all of you. Thank you again for this Lifetime Achievements Award. Thanks.
And next, the Clergy of the Year Award goes to Rabbi Schicker, November 11th, 2021. For the expertise and clergy leadership you have given to Isaac in our pursuit of deepening our interfaith work, including an Isaac Intro to Judaism 2-part course, and also to the Kalamazoo community through teaching and offering outreach and educational programming. For working tirelessly to establish permanent and professional Jewish leadership in our community in order to provide Jewish perspectives on faith and social issues, to educate and address rising anti-Semitism, and to model a Jewish leadership in collaboration with other Jewish congregations and organizations. For your support and advocacy, putting your faith to action, and speaking out against local, statewide, and national injustices. For your clergy's heart for all people and creating safe and sacred spaces infused with knowledge, equity, unity, love, and peace. For your leadership in promoting equity and inclusion and the power of listening and dialogue in order to find common ground. And for serving in committed allyship in word and deed to the other communities also facing hatred, discrimination, and violence. And for offering blessings, prayers, and words of encouragement and love to our Kalamazoo beloved community members during these challenging times. We are deeply grateful.
Thank you so much to Isaac for the honor of being selected as Clergy of the Year. My deepest thanks to the leadership and membership of Isaac, as well as the leadership and membership of Temple B'nai Israel, where I'm honored to serve as rabbi. Isaac's mission to pursue justice, to make the beloved community real for our community, is deeply personal to me, having been raised in an interfaith household. It's through this lens that I wish to share this blessing with you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lirdof tzedek. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, who calls us to holiness through commandments, commanding us to pursue justice. Please join me in Amen. Again, thank you for this honor.
And next, our Elected Ally of the Year award goes to Vice Mayor Patrice Griffin, November 11th, 2021. For your steadfast work as a brand new city commissioner in 2019, and then as vice mayor to gain support from city staff and city commissioners for your vision of a housing equity ordinance in Kalamazoo. For your commitment to ordinance wording that expands housing protections to additional protected groups, protects against predatory application fees, protects against blanket rejections of any protected group, and creates a civil rights board to prevent discriminatory practices. And for creating structural change that will eliminate housing disparities and impediments and reverse our racist historical legacy of redlining and segregation. For working tirelessly to ensure city commission meetings and communications had greater accessibility and inclusion. For your advocacy to address gun violence as a public health concern. For supporting meaningful community trust and transparency with public safety. And for engaging community members and having a greater voice in the city budget process. For your powerful, consistent, unwavering voice of truth, equity, anti-racism, transparency, and accountability. And your grace and persistence in responding to all challenges towards systemic and rooted change. And for your leadership that modeled not only in words, but in actions, the type of elected official who makes impactful changes for generations to come. We are deeply grateful.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this incredible honor. Thank you to my Isaac family, my partners in this justice work. I want to thank the executive committee, the board, and a very special thank you to the executive director, Dr. Charlay Davis, who I affectionately refer to as Dr. Sis. This is an amazing honor coming from you all. You have accepted me in before I was an elected official, and our work kind of culminated when we passed the housing ordinance in the middle of a pandemic. September 8th, 2020. And that was amazing. And it just goes to show what can really happen in a community and the beginning of the transformation that can take place when electeds and community really work together. So again, thank you so much. I look forward to continuing this work and this journey and this justice work with you all. Thank you.
The Congregation of the Year Award goes to First United Methodist Church, November 11th, 2021. For your very generous support of Isaac, especially your Justice Sunday sermon and special collection in support of Isaac. For the leadership roles your members have taken in Isaac as members of the Isaac Leadership Board, Housing Task Force, and Anti-Racism Task Force. And for your support of Isaac's anti-racism work, for the commitment of your members to building personal relationships with anyone who is hungry or houseless, by cooking a communal meal in your kitchen every week, by providing sleeping bag coats and much more for anyone sleeping out in the cold, and by bringing your insights to Isaac's task force work on policy changes needed. For the special wisdom and leadership role of your clergy in guiding the community in understanding the scriptural call to work for equity, and spirituality in authentic action while challenging systems of oppression and engaging in movements that can shape a better tomorrow for all of God's people. We are deeply grateful.
Greetings from First United Methodist Church of Kalamazoo.
Grace and peace, beloved community. First United Methodist Church is honored and humbled to receive this award of Congregation of the Year. We want to lean in further to this award and the work of building community that is reconciled to one another and to our creating God.
I consider it an honor to be a member of one of the 30 congregations that support Isaac's commitment to work for real change through policy and shared values. As a member of Isaac's Anti-Racist Task Force, I am convinced that together we can build a more beloved community.
Our mission at FUMC is to experience, celebrate, and share God's love. The mission leads us to work for justice for all. Our participation in Isaac provides a way to contribute to a local movement for justice that leads to real change by virtue of our shared values and the strength of numbers.
Together with the beloved community, we hear the call of God to love kindness, do justice, and walk humbly with our creating God. Let it be so. Peace be with you.
The Servant Leader of the Year award goes to Mr. Adrian Vasquez, November 11th, 2021. For your consistent, selfless, courageous, compassionate leadership in support of our Latinx and immigrant family members in Kalamazoo County, for breathing and bringing new life, support, and resources to El Concilio through your persistence, commitment, and love for those you are serving, for enduring the weight of injustices and shouldering responsibility for a beloved community with love, a responsibility many cannot understand, and for stepping up during difficult and dangerous times, providing culturally competent services, advocacy, and holistic supportive resources. For providing translation, interpretation, and immigration services, and preschool and K-12 bilingual, sociocultural, and educational and mental health support, as well as advocating in a culturally competent manner for community members experiencing sexual abuse, or workplace discrimination. For standing in the gap during this health pandemic, advocating tirelessly to reduce isolation, decrease disparities, and discrimination faced by our Latinx and immigrant family members and others impacted, and for your family partnership with Isaac. We are deeply grateful.
Hola, my name is Adrian Vasquez, and I want to thank Dr. Davis, staff, and members of Isaac for this recognition. I accept the Servant Leader of the Year award for all the members, all the people, all the youth and families we serve. This recognition is not just for me. This recognition is all for all the work, all the struggle that we continue to have in our community to make sure that we bring justice, equity, inclusion, and fairness to all our families. Thank you. It is a great honor to continue to work with you, to continue to make a great impact, and to make sure that all our families, all our youth get the support they need. El Concilio, it's a strong organization because it works with many organizations in the community to ensure we do and we create great opportunities for all our youth, all our families. Thank you so much and God bless. Muy buenas tardes. Acepto este reconocimiento como el servidor del año gracias a la doctora Davis, al personal y a los miembros de Isaac por todo el apoyo que nos han dado. Este reconocimiento no es solo para mí, este reconocimiento es para la profesión, es para la gente con quien trabajo, con la gente a quien servimos. El Concilio es una organización que se asegura de hacer todo el trabajo que la comunidad nos pide. Hacemos programas y servicios. El movimiento y todas las cosas que nos desafían ahora no son fáciles, pero el Concilio es una organización fuerte gracias a trabajar en unión y fuerza con organizaciones como Isaac para asegurar que traigamos igualdad, equidad y justicia. Muchas gracias por este reconocimiento. Con gran honor y humildad lo acepto y espero continuar trabajando con todos ustedes para mejorar la estabilidad de nuestra comunidad latina en esta comunidad. Muchas gracias.
The Public Ally of the Year award goes to Homes for All campaign, led by Commissioner Stephanie Hoffman, Council Member Chris Burns, and Mr. David Artley, November 11th, 2021. For your visionary leadership, initiating the Homes for All campaign, planning 2 whole years before the Vote Yes for Kids housing millage expired. For your democratic process, embracing a wide range of stakeholders in planning the Homes for All campaign, from the county, the city, housing agencies, supportive services and agencies, KRESA, KPS, housing advocacy groups, and more. For your inspiring commitment to safe, stable homes for all throughout Kalamazoo County, families with children, older adults, people with disabilities, homeless veterans, essential workers risking their lives during the pandemic, and county residents historically excluded from home ownership opportunities. For aiming high in faith, anti-racism, and love when deciding the direction of the millage, and for seeing those impacted by housing inequities as beloved community members deserving of safe, quality, and equitable housing. We are deeply grateful.
Hi, this is Dave Artley, Chris Burns, and Stephanie Hoffman, and we're delighted to be awarded the Isaac Public Ally of the Year. And before we get going, I just wanted to give a special thanks to our campaign manager, Kevin Wertelman, without whom we would not have been successful. Thanks.
There were 35,000 people who voted yes in the November election last fall, but there were some key people who worked on the steering committee, and they include Stephanie Hoffman, Chris Burns, Jennifer Aniano, Mary Balkema, Zach Bauer, Kelly Clark, Shell Davis, Patrice Griffin, Tracy Hall, Toby Hannah Davies, Latoya Haywood, Sarah Jacobs, Janet Jones, Matt Logger, Betty Lee Ongley, Michael Quinn, Kevin Wertelman, Norman Young. That was the core committee. And we thank all of them.
That's great. And on behalf of the elected officials in the county, I'm Chris Burns, and I serve on the Portage City Council, and I'm delighted to be honored with this recognition. But really, it's about helping the whole community. And since this passed almost a year ago, steering committees have been formed to generate proposals for new housing projects and housing support services. And recently, we were just awarded a competitive set of resources from NYU University. So there's a lot of progress in getting the planning going, and we're looking forward to the next 8 years of this millage, where we can see some shovels go into the ground and some new housing be formed for people in our community. And Stephanie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you again to Isaac and the nominating committee. This work is for us and by us. A place where people, community, and transformation happens on behalf of so many deserving and valued members of our community. We appreciate the opportunity to have served in this capacity and in this role, and we look forward to providing more housing and backward support services to our most vulnerable families and individuals. Kalamazoo County, let's get it. Thank you.
The Woman of Equity Award goes to Ms. Shalana Lewis, November 2021. For taking the national motto of truth, racial healing, and transformation in 2016 and creating, developing, and expanding TRHT Kalamazoo, bringing numerous groups together around healing, policy changes, and transformation in the sectors of housing, racial healing, law, education, narrative change, arts, and truth talks, for bringing people together as a family in a way that only you could, for your leadership in launching Kalamazoo's Black and Brown Therapy Collective pilot, in answer to the racialized trauma and gun violence experienced by local BIPOC community members, for your steadfast leadership in the collaboration focused on race and equity and fair housing, the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, the City of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo Community Foundation, the Fair Housing Center of Southwest Michigan, and Isaac, one of only 3 locations nationwide to receive this funding. For your strong partnership with Vice Mayor Griffin and the Isaac Housing Task Force in passing the Kalamazoo Housing Equity Ordinance, and also with numerous institutions and organizations to create structural and systemic changes, for lifting and implementing culturally competent affinity work, reduction of harm, healing, and self-care, your life-changing, strategic, collaborative work, and love for those impacted will live on in Kalamazoo. We are deeply grateful.
Hi, Isaac family. Just want to share my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for this award. This award comes at a time when I'm really reflecting on what an amazing journey it has been. And I'm so proud of the accomplishments that we've made together, Isaac. Many of you know me from TRHT, and what a strong partnership that continues to grow. But also some of you remember me before TRHT came about, and I have such a fond memory of Isaac events and meetings from that time period, and also really the past and current leaders that really supported me as a young person, fresh college graduate, new to the community. I think of people like Wendy Flora, Jeremy Orr, Rochelle. They all welcomed me. They all understood what it meant to support young people in this journey towards leadership. And I will always remember how it felt to really be acknowledged and encouraged by folks within Isaac. And then, of course, Charlay. I mean, as Charlay came along, and I know everyone here understands what a huge impact Doc has had on the whole Isaac and the whole community. And then, of course, Andrew, Chapanda, Toby, Stephanie, all the amazing and powerful housing partnership folks that we created between Isaac and TRHT, and Elder King and the rest of the Isaac board, who really believed in a unusual partnership, had faith and trust, and really went full force into it. Of course, Patrice and Dusty and Dorla, we really did make magic happen. And you know, one thing I will reflect on is that this magic, this fight for justice, this fight for equity, it doesn't come without tension. It doesn't come without hardship, and doesn't come without conflict. You know, as you know, I'm no longer in Kalamazoo, and that really makes this award and honor even more special, particularly as a woman of color. I'm fighting for justice for the collective, justice for the community, justice for society, pushing the boundaries of the structures and the policies, right? But we're also carrying the same burden in how it affects us personally in our personal life. So it really is a double burden that we carry. You know who sees it? You know who knows? Family knows. Family knows. And, you know, there's folks in Isaac as part of the Isaac family, and also part of my family now, who really saw and understood what I was going through and what I needed to do for myself at the time to really sustain me in the work in the long run. This work is never done, and we will always keep pushing, but it is so important to take care of one another, take care of ourselves, cherish each other. And that is such an integral part of what it means to fight for justice. So once again, thank you, and I look forward to seeing everyone very soon.
And the Leader of the Year award goes to Ms. Wendy Fields, November 11th, 2021. For hearing the call and stepping into leadership toward rebuilding and restoration during difficult times. For your steadfast fight for justice, equity, unity, truth-telling, anti-racism, and doing what is right, no matter what. For standing firm for systemic changes, transparency, and accountability. For your unwavering faith in God in connection to this work, and fighting for change because we are all God's beloved children. For your holistic advocacy, engaging in the full picture of equity and justice, such as organizing voter registrations, blood drives, and advocacy and engagement forums. For utilizing your gifts and expertise to work with hurting families and children for healing and justice. For remembering, loving, and including and empowering beloved community members who society has forgotten. For your history and love for our Kalamazoo County community. For mentorship of generations coming behind you, teaching, supporting, and having their backs. For attending and supporting anyone in any event that supports unity, equity, and progression. For the expertise and partnership you continue to give Isaac. For addressing civil rights complaints with equity. For never stopping and never wavering. And with God, for being a force to be reckoned with. We are deeply grateful.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wendy Fields, and I am so honored to be receiving this award this evening from Isaac. I never thought it, so it's a complete shock. And so I say with great humility, how grateful I am to be receiving this award this evening. My mom always said that anybody that has to brag on their own cooking, the cooking may not be too good. So with that, I don't brag on what it is I do. I do it out of compassion and out of caring. And so to hear someone else acknowledge it with no expectation is very humbling. And again, I say thank you to Dr. Charlay and to the Isaac family. Thank you. Be blessed.
Thank you. And congratulations again to all of our awardees. And now I will turn this over to Reverend G.
Good evening. I'm Reverend G, minister at the Unitarian Universalist Community Church in Portage. And tonight, I invite you to deepen your involvement with our work of justice and help create a world where hope triumphs over fear, where the divine abundance meets the needs of all, and where we live in beautiful togetherness as opposed to dehumanizing isolation. So I invite you to donate, to support this work with your treasure. Put your wallet where your mouth is, where your belief is. And there's two ways in which you can support us. You can either make a one-time donation, or you can support us monthly and join the numerous others who are known as GEM donors. Give every month, GEM donors. Just look within and see what is true for you. How is it true for you to support this awesome work of reducing violence in the community, of anti-racism, to create affordable housing? So just look within. How is it yours to support it? And then bless your donation, bless it good, and see it working in this community. See it transforming our community. See it making a difference. Your giving makes a difference. Please, if you wish to donate by check, mail it to Isaac at 247 West Lovell Street, Kalamazoo, Michigan 49007, and it is right there on your screen. You are also welcome to donate online at isaackalamazoo.org/donate/. It's all there on the screen for you to notice. And now I invite you to watch our new Isaac merchandise video created by our Isaac VP for Fund Development, Kara Randolph. And please check the chat to receive the link to purchase your merchandise. And there's all kinds of options available for you. Please go browse and spend. Thank you.
I know this is a time when many of us are tired, many of us are beat down by the things that are going on in society, but it's when we get tired that we must be willing to stand and be willing to stand strong. And when we need to gather strength, that we can lean on our brothers and sisters in those times that we are weak, because we will be weak and we will have times where we get tired. But that's why we're coming together.
Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. Though every day the news can appear to get worse, I have seen the impact a small group of people can have on our community, can have on our country, can have in our world. Generation Z is the most racially and culturally diverse generation this country has ever seen. Even as we struggle, love paves the way for togetherness. Even as we hope and pray for a better world, each one of us has the power to act every day for a better world. We march together onward to a future that is bright. Together, we can and must build a sacred community.
And I will leave this message, this quote from a good friend, for a good leader, Cesar Chavez. We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity of our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include an aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and for our own. So everything that I want, that my community wants, it's the same thing that everybody wants. Justice for everybody, fairness, systems that have equity for everybody.
I'm going to speak a little bit about why this work is so important. And this work of racial equity and racial justice is vital because our souls are at stake. The way whiteness and white supremacy works in our community, in our culture, in our world, in our country, costs us our souls.
O Allah, reconcile us with love and understanding between our hearts and resolve our broken affairs and guide us towards peace and the paths of guidance, and take us out of the darkness of hate, conflict, and ignorance and into the light of truth, peace, and love. Amen.
I remember that advice frequently when it feels like the situations in life are keeping us restrained, when it feels like we're not growing, when it feels like there's no light there for us. It's good to remember Moses' abbot telling him, the light grows over time.
My other teacher and brother, Kevin Fong, shared this poem with me. It's called When the Ones, written by his amazing friend, Taj James. When the ones. When the ones to the right of you, the ones 2 steps ahead of you, reach the limits of their strength, courage, compassion, or imagination, will you, at that exact moment, be close enough, connected enough, trusted enough to take the baton and dash to the next horizon, or retrieve it from where it lies fallen? Do you have the foresight? Do you have a deep enough and wide enough love? Do you have the insight to see that we're all on the same team? We're all in the same play, each one of us an essential part.
We will get tired and we will get discouraged. But just as our ancestors of justice, we understand that we are human and those feelings are real and they're also valid. But we also recognize that good and justice will win. And we will get back up after we have rested and after we have tapped into our faith and our sources of strength and power. We continue on just as our ancestors of justice did, so that we and the generation to come will feel the positive impacts of our labor. The work continues, beloved community, and we will not stop until all members are held as beloved. May the journey continue together, and our work continues, and it continues now. Join us. Blessings and love.
Thank you, everyone. This has been an amazing night, and so we are honored that all of you have chosen to spend this time with us. Just want to offer a few words of thanks. Thank you to our banquet committee. Thank you to Caleb, who did all of that technical work, to our songstress, Brooke Edwards. Congratulations to all of our well-deserving award winners. Thank you to our amazing executive director, Dr. Charlotte Davis, who leads us daily into this battle. We thank you for your courage, your tenacity, but the heart of love that you do, the work that you do to our executive committee, to our leadership board, just to the beloved community. We thank you tonight for everything that you have done. And certainly lastly, but not least, he may still get a copy of this. We want to thank and honor the Reverend Dr. Michael Eric Dyson for his encouraging, inspiring, gut punching, I call it, words, right, that cause us to think. And hopefully our reaction will cause us, bring us into action, that we will continue to want to do the work that we do to help establish this beloved community. So as we prepare to close, anything else, Dr. Davis, before we?
No, you got it all. Thank you so much, Elder King. Love and thank you all. We are energized to be able to do this work with you all. So thank you.
So we are asking you to turn up the volume of your speakers. We have one of our, on this Veterans Day, one of our notable veterans, the Marine Al Dixon, has requested a song to take us out this evening. And so we thank Al for his service to our country, and again, all of our veterans. And thank you all, as I say, for your service to our community. And so we have our closing song now. So thank you again, everyone.
No need in trying, no, 'cause I ain't buying. No, don't try to stop us, no, no, no. It ain't no. Please, please. keep us down.